YouTube, what is going on? We're back with another Wuthering Waves video. And today, now that we have had the game for quite some time, and the new update is pretty much coming out in like, what, 7 days, I think? 1.1, 6 days and 22 hours. I wanted to give you my full thoughts and review of 1.0. The good, the bad, the everything. Everything. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot to talk about. This might be a little bit of a yap fest, but we're here for it. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. And is this game worth your time? If you're a new player, should I continue? Or if you haven't played the game at all, should you play it? Spoiler, yes, the game is amazing. The game has problems. It's not perfect by any means, but it's amazing. With that being said, let's go. So, off rip, you get a plethora of free characters. So off rip, if I were to show you right now, you get the first party you're going to be starting off with is the Rover, which is a sub DPS. You get Chixia, who's a main DPS, and then you get Yang Yang. Once you start a little bit, go a little bit further into the game, you then get Baiji on your first standard pull, who's a healer, who's really great, and you also get Sanhua for logging in 5 days, and then you do receive Yanwu, who's another sub DPS, and can actually be a shielder when they reach a certain amount of constellations. Nice chart of characters off rip, right? Now, also, what the thing is, when you start this game, they're giving you a bunch of rewards. They're giving you rewards after rewards after rewards. If we look at this, for example, you are getting a free 5-star selector just by playing the game. Eventually, once you get to a certain union level, you can pick 5-star character based off of the standard banner. So they give you 5 free 4 stars. You then get a 6 character immediately for any 5-star you want to pick with that selector. They are then giving you a smaller banner for only 40 pulls. You're guaranteed another standard banner character, so that's 7. And then you have a third banner right here, which is after 80 pulls, you are going to get whichever character you select. So 8 characters in total. 2 you can pretty much pick, and 1 you could pick, 1 5-star you can pick immediately off rip with no RNG involved. So you got a plethora of characters, and honestly, all of these characters are good. There are some that are better than others. Okay, you know, Zhanshin and Ling Yang are Ling Yang's a little bit on the lower, the bottom pole. You know, if you get him, a little but you get so many rewards from the game just by simply logging in and playing, that you should be really set up off rip. Now, I will say, the first 2 hours are a little rough. Get through the first 2 hours, and then you are all set. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the game, and I was one of those people pushing the narrative as well, the story at first, it's a lot. It's not bad, but it's a lot to take in. There's a lot going on, and the English VA at the moment is pretty underwhelming. They've addressed that they're going to change that eventually, but just so you know, like, once you get past that, things pick up. You know what I'm saying? Like, things pick up, and they actually have their last chapter is low-key the best mission I've done in a gacha game ever. So get through those 2 hours, and then you are able to now finally start creating your own team comps. You get a plethora of characters that are honestly really, really solid. The game just gets better. You know what I'm saying? One of the great things I like about this game is the fact that this is almost every character. I think I might be missing 2. And the one that I'm missing, Encore is one of the best DPS in the game. She's probably the second best DPS in the game at the moment, if not maybe even the first. The great thing about the start of 1.0 is there's so many units that are great. And there's so many units that are good and that are meta. And you don't have to be a meta person, but you're going to wind up playing those teams already just because they're so accessible to you. And that is what I really, really love about this. Excluding Jian and Yinlin, because these are the 2 first exclusive characters. And by the time you're watching this video, they might... Jian's definitely gone, and Yinlin might be gone. The rest of these are amazing. Calchero is a great DPS from the standard. Verena is literally for the Genshin players. Benny, she's an attack healer who will never be power crept. If she's power crept, I'll be very surprised. She's so good. Donjin is an amazing 4-star, similar to Hu Tao in the sense where she drains her own HP, does more damage with her HP gets lower. The Rover is the main character, and you actually get other elements of him. So once you beat the game, you get the Havoc Rover, and then this is another case of possibly one of the strongest DPSs in the game. I mean, there are just so many viable options that you really don't need to spend money in this game, and I love that. The fact that you can log in, select Calcaro as your main DPS, you know, you could focus Calcaro, select Verena, and then get Sanhua as his sub DPS, which is one of his best teams. You literally have a meta team off rip right away. You know, if you get lucky and you get one of these 2, or you can focus them and then you get Sanhua, you're good. You get Rover, and you have Rover, Sanhua, Verena. Great. You know, if you roll Gion and you were happen to get Mortefi, you get Verena, great. There's combinations, you know, even Johnson. I'm not the biggest fan of Johnson, right? But Johnson's a good support with the parry, and she does provide shields, although it's not really the most effective in the end game. That's a different story. You could use anyone. Baiji is another case of Booba. Oh my god. I can give you 2 reasons why I like her, but she's an amazing healer and she's free off rip. You get her in the first 40 minutes. So you could re-roll in this game. I really don't think it's necessary unless you really, really don't like the first standard character you get when the first 40 pulls. Like, let's say if you get someone like Ling Yang, who's a lion boy. So yeah, I don't know if re-rolling is 100% necessary, but the great thing about this is if you did want to re-roll, you are getting tons and tons and tons of free rewards, more rewards than we got on the first launch of the game, because they've given out tons of Acerite and tons of wishes just for messing up with like optimization issues, translation issues. Like right here, we got 10 limited banner pulls, 5 weapon banner pulls, 20 crystal solvents, which is their fragile resin, which we'll get to later. I mean, the game is just very, very, very giving, and it really incentivizes you to not use money. You don't need to spend. You could just play it, and that for me is already one of the reasons why I give this game such a high score. Like off rip, it is so accessible. Now, going into combat, the thing about the combat is, as I've stated previously, you could use anyone in any role and you can make it work. Realistically, the way the game works is you want to have a DPS, a sub DPS, and support. There's really only 3 support options, 2 consistent healers in the game. So you really, a lot of the teams are going to look the same: DPS, sub DPS, Verena, Baiji, or Johnson, right? But the thing is, you can make anyone work, and it's smooth, and the combat has so many layers to it. At first, even when playing the CBT2, I was very, very, very nervous that the combat was going to be a little boring. I knew it was flashy in the CBT2, but I kind of wasn't really paying attention to the Concerto energy and the Forte skills, which I'll show you in a moment. And I was kind of just riding the coast like, oh, this is cool, this is dope. But I don't know if it's going to have that same effect that Genshin does, because with Genshin, although you don't have as many mechanics in this game as you do with Genshin, you do have the elements. They're really out here just fighting. It's the Royal Rumble. My God, your brother the Slabanaka! So here, when I do my normal attacks with Gion, for example, I'm building up this bar above his health. That is his Forte circuit. Every character has their own Forte circuit, and it is 100% really only used for them specifically, right? So Mortefi's Forte circuit's up. If I do his skill, it gives it an enchant skill, and I actually have another skill shot because of that. So you're kind of just doing a bunch of damage. You know, Verena's Forte circuit, when you do 4 to 5 strikes, I don't remember off the top of my head, it's the 5th one, you then are able to actually heal. So I can jump up. If I, oh wait, oh my God. See, that's one of the bugs of the camera. We'll get to that in a moment. Jump up and I do a strike, I could heal. Now you see, you heard the ding, and like all these people are lighting up. You swap out. I can swap back to Gion. His Forte circuit's up. When I hit E and it's either one of those are full, I get a enhanced skill. If I do my ult with his Forte circuit at least halfway, I do an extra slam, bam, with my burst, which you didn't see because the camera angles in this game, unfortunately, are really not the best, which again, we will address later. And I kind of just go in now. And so you see the duration of his burst right there. And so there's a lot of depth to this. There's a lot of depth. It doesn't have the significance of, you know, I have to swirl this and I have to apply vapes or hyper blooms, whatever the case is. You know, realistically, the elements right now are really not that important other to the specific character's damage. I personally would like to see maybe at some point they could do something a little bit different with the element system. I think they could be a little bit more than just like, hey, for example, my Gion does arrow damage, and arrow damage really doesn't have necessarily, that doesn't mean anything. It's just that it's just a type of damage, and if one boss is invulnerable to arrow damage, then I can't use Gion. That's all I've really seen these elements be used for at the moment, so it's kind of like whatever. But also at the same time, they don't really need it, because you have this Forte circuit, which I've said, that is going to be their main mechanic. Everyone's Forte circuit functions differently, but then you also have this Concerto energy. So for example, right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fight this boss real quick, and with Verena, hold on, there's like a little trick. If you swap to Verena, when you're on another character, instead of doing 5 attacks to get your forte up, you just do 3 normal. So, well, I don't think it's going to work there because I got hit. So 1, 2, yeah, pretty much 3 right there, and then bam. And then parrying, obviously there is parrying in this game. But so we're going to get her Concerto energy up. You're going to hear that ding. I swap out to Mort. I pop my burst. Now my forte's full. I pop my forte. I do that, my skill again. I get my forte one more time. We do that. I pop my thing. I'm then going to swap to Gion. Now I don't have his ult yet, which is unfortunate, but it's okay. And yeah, you just do a bunch of damage. Now I have his ult, and you can see what it actually looks like. Now the camera didn't mess up. And all of these are buffing each other up. And, you know, every time you do an outro skill, mainly for the sub DPSs and the supports, they give a pretty substantial buff to the next character coming in on field. Ooh, is this a good piece? We'll get to echoes in a moment. Let's just see. Crit rate. I'm looking for crit rate. I'll address that later. Anyways, so what happens is, you know, Verena is giving pretty much giving me heals when I do the outro, but she's also giving a damage increase of 15% for 30 seconds. So you swap back, so I then swap into Mort. Mort is getting this damage increase. I do my burst with Mort, which is giving coordinated attacks with whoever I'm on the field with, which is already great, so it's all field damage. But when I then swap from Mort into a Gion when his Concerto's up, he's getting 38%. A Gion's going to get 38% heavy attack damage increase for 14 seconds. Why that's so special? Because Gion's burst scales, it turns all of his attacks into heavy attack damage. And so there's genuine synergy and genuine team comps that where obviously you could throw together something completely random like this. You could put 2 DPSs here and like some random sub. And, like, there still might be some synergy here and there, whatever. Like, it could work. It's not ideal, right? But when you can sit down and break down whose outro skill matches with who, it really helps. And you get, there's tons of animation canceling in the game as well. So, for example, if I went to go with, let's say, Yinlin and Calchero, I'm going to put this team on field right now. The thing about Calchero is he's a great unit. But what makes him and Yinlin both so special is they can cancel a lot of their animations and kind of swap onto the other person. So, for example, I'm going to let this monkey respawn real quick. So, you dodge, right? Every time you dodge, you get a little bit your Concerto. So, I'm going to get his Forte circuit up. He needs to do 3 E's to get it up. So, I hold that down. While he's doing that animation, I could swap off. Now, with Yinlin, same thing. I'm going to hold her Forte. I swap off. And her Forte was still going while Calchero was here. So this is such a go-to team comp because they could really just, you know, interact with each other. I swapped to Verena. He's still doing that. Yinlin, and so on and so forth. So there's tons and tons of little team comps that you can do that really change the way the game you play. And also a lot of really good tech. This is the very surface level of the tech. You know, if you want to get into more, like someone like EO dropped a video about how like Gion could be in the air for forever beating people up. Or 1010, right? There's tons of people who go more in-depth with tech. But the fact is, you might not have these elemental reactions, but you have the freedom to really mix and match these teams and really concoct your own bullshit and really make it work with the Concerto and the Forte. And it's just a breath of fresh air. I'm not going to lie to you. It's tons and tons of fun, and there's a lot of depth to it. Same thing with echoes. For example, if I go back to Gion real quick, Gion's Echo just needs to hit someone once. Now, this doesn't happen all the time. Not every Echo can do this. But for example, and we'll address Echoes a little bit later, if I were to go over here, I'm going to let my Q hit the enemy one time real quick, and then I'm going to swap. So it hits once, and you can see the Echo is still going on. So it's really just... Also, WCC by Yin Yang. There's really a lot of depth here. And to me, this is the selling point of the game. It really is, to me, like a gacha Elden Ring. That's what it feels like. There's a lot of mechanics. There's the parrying. There's the dodging. You are rewarded for dodging. You're rewarded with the Concerto energy. You're rewarding with parrying because you'll get those shear down a lot faster. And you're even rewarding for outro skills. So actually, if I go back over here, we're going to fight the monkey again just to show you. When you do a parry or an outro skill / intro skill, it is going to knock down that shield of the said boss much faster. So for example, I'm going to get Yang Yang's energy up here, and to Concerto energy, really just normal attack. Now, as you can see, I'm going to swap bam, it does a pretty big amount of health. Now parry, bam, but also you could swap here, and it's pretty quick to get concerted energy to the point where you can almost do, I'm not going to say unlimited swapping, but I know that there's people who are able to swap up to like 9 times or whatever the case is. I can't swap 9 times, but you get the point. And so there's just a lot going on in a good way, So yes, you don't have those elemental reactions, but there's so much depth to the combat that it makes up for it, and it's fine. So if they don't add something, I get it, and I wouldn't be too annoyed. Like, it is what it is. But I do think that there is a little bit more potential here. I'm not going to lie to you, but combat's like a 10 out of 10. I think the only reason maybe why it might be like a 9 is just sometimes it's a little buggy, which we'll get to later. But combat, chef's kiss. Again, another really great thing about starting the game is there's so many options for a main DPS. As I said, like team building, you really want a main DPS, sub DPS support. But, you know, you have Gian, who Gian is one of the best DPS in the game, and his team is really super meta. Gian, Mortefi, Yang Yang, Gian, Mortefi, Verena, and, you know, you buff heavy attack damage a bunch, and he's pretty much spams it, and he can infinitely parry. Then you can go Calchero with Sanhua or Calchero with Yinlin, and they're crazy. She buffs his electric damage. If you want, you could run Donjin. Donjin, as you know, if you play Genshin, she's really kind of like the Hu Tao. She could run Yinlin, Donjin with Verena. Or if you want, you could run Havoc Rover, who's a main DPS, and then with that, you can run Havoc with Donjin as your sub, and then Verena, or like, there's just so many people. You could even make Johnson a DPS. You know, you make this character your main DPS and you run this with another sub. There's a lot of options. I mean, even if you wanted to, I wouldn't do it, but you could run Chixie as a main DPS. You know, there's tons and tons of options. And the great thing is that, you know, it's very free to play. And it's not like, for example, it's the start of the game and everyone has the same main. A lot of people, there's only so many characters in the game, so you're going to see a lot of reoccurring team comps and whatnot, but not everyone is like, okay, yeah, I'm running, let's say, Gian. That's it. That's who I'm running. You can run Encore. You can run Encore with Yinlin and Verena. You know, you can run Ling Yang if you wanted to. You know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She could be a DPS 6. Encore 7. Ling Yang is 8. There's 8 main potential DPSs off rip. I mean, realistically, you could also make anyone a DPS, and if you wanted to make that person a DPS, you know, whatever the case is. But there's so many valid options that it diversifies the pool, and it really thinks, man, I have to be smart, because as opposed to there only being, let's say, 2 or 3 valid characters that are in the game, it gives you this thing of, I want to build all of them, but I don't have the resources to build all of them, so I need to be smart about it. And that's what I love. It's not just a straight cut and clear dry answer all the time. There's a lot of variables. So, combat, great. Go to it, the sauce. Echoes. The echo system, I've gone on record and said I think it's my favorite artifact system, and there's things about it that are my favorite artifact. But as time has gone on, there are a lot of things I do not like, and there are a lot of things that I think has to be addressed. Some things I actually don't think they will address, period. I feel like I'll tell you why, but there's other things that I think will change. So, for example, with the ecosystem at the moment, it's a 12 cost system, right? So you're only able to equip echoes that add up to 12. I'm going to slide myself over here. So for example, my Gian, he has a 4 cost echo here, a 3 cost here, a 3 cost, a 1, and a 1. Farming 4 cost echoes is the most straightforward thing in the game, and it's extremely easy. All you have to do is fight that boss you want 1,000,000 times. That's it. You don't need resin. They take like a minute or 2 to respawn at most, and you can keep going and going and going and going, and to the point where some people are even doing 2 4-cost echoes and then 1 1 1 1, because 3 costs are so annoying, which we'll get to. But it's really not bad, and I think this is one of the main shining saving graces of the ecosystem, where the main cost echo is not that rough to get. Now, the substats and leveling up, that's different, right? That is completely out of your control, and you can get shit substats, and then you got to re-roll and fodder this. That's not good. That's not, you know, in our control. But I could farm 500 monkeys that have crit rate, and then try to roll them and see what works, right? The 1-stars are not bad either. The 1-stars are pretty straightforward. They only have attack, HP, or defense. You really just want to build anything that has attack on it for DPSs. And those are just pretty simple. You know, go around, go to your data bank, find the one cost that you need in that particular set that you need, and bam. Nothing too crazy there. It's the 3 costs where the problem come in, and the 3 costs I really think are annoying. And for example, if I look at, let's go through my data bank. This is not bad. So I got a Flawless, which is a 3 cost echo with electro damage, which is what I need. It's an electro set echo with electro damage. But let's say I go to another 3 cost echo, fusion with fusion. Very good. I'm actually going to lock that. That's locked already. Okay. Fusion with fusion. Cool. Energy regen. That's fine. What the problem that comes in lie with these 3 cost echoes is this fusion echo that can only roll, let's say fusion, can roll with arrow damage bonus. Where in the fuck am I going to get use from that? You don't. So let's see. For example, a spearback. In this particular echo set, it's not that bad because lingering tunes can really go on any character. So lingering tunes is one of the exceptions to the rule where getting any stat on here is not bad because you could run this, let's say, on Calchero, who's electric. Or if you wanted to run this on Encore, I wouldn't. But if you run this on Encore, okay, we get fusion damage from this. But like this, a Havoc Dreadmane, it has arrow bonus. Why do you have arrow bonus if you're fusion? If I pull up Pridewind, which I will do right now, because I drive this point home every single time, and every single time it just gets me more annoyed. And I'm like, bro, this is not good. This is not good. What was that echo called? This was the Havoc Dreadmane. Okay, so Havoc Dreadmane. Let's see. Havoc Dreadmane can only roll either fusion or Havoc, right? Why the fuck is it rolling with arrow damage? It just doesn't make sense. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. And it makes you feel like your time is 100% wasted. Because the thing is, if you run out of these in your data bank, you're fucked. That's it. You have to wait till the next day. Unless if you go to some friend's world, or if you have resin, you want to use your resin on Tacet fields, which we'll get to Tacet fields in a bit, you are pretty much shit out of luck. So that I don't like. Now, I think their counter fix to this is that they are introducing a data bank level 21. And in the data bank level 21, you are 100% granted a 5-star echo. I like that. Right now in data bank 20, it's only an 80 to a 20 split. Data bank 21, whatever union level you have to be, I don't know if it's going to be 50, 60, I don't know. But eventually, once you reach whatever said union level that is, you will then get said echoes 100% of the time gold. Now, that is good because if there are, let's say, 30 of those echoes, I know for that day I have 30 chances to get a good 5-star echo. The problem is there's still so much RNG involved with it that let's say I got a Havoc echo that rolled with Havoc damage and I'm like, okay, let's roll this. And then it gets double defense, double HP, and then attack. I am fucked. And I now have to wait till, let's say, the following day to hopefully get a Havoc echo that falls in that line again. So I think it's a step in the right direction, but I don't think it's a fix. I truly believe if a echo can only roll with 2 or 3 elements, keep it to those elements and throw the energy regen, in there or whatever extra bullshit that's not element specific. That is one problem with the echoes. There's 2 other problems. The other problem is the level up materials and how much XP it takes to level up an echo. I have 15 max gold tuners right now. If I use all 15, I'm only getting to 19. I'm not even getting to level 20 yet, which I can't even get my 4th substat. Now, obviously, if I threw a purple in here and there, like I'll get to 20. And, let's see how much, I don't even know. Will I get to 25? I'll get to 25. It's going to take me 15 gold tuners, 15 gold echo experience tubes, and 34 purple tubes. These are so scarce. And that's why I drive this point home as much as possible. Don't overdo it with your echoes. Don't level up purple echoes if you don't have to. Don't level up green echoes or blue echoes. Struggle in the early games. That way, when you get to this point, you have a plethora of echo XP. Because I don't. I messed up. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But in order for you to get these back, you have to run Tacet fields. And currently, at the moment, at union level underneath 40, so 39 and under, or even 40, I think you're only guaranteed one premium tuner, right? 1 premium tube. Once you get 50, I think you're guaranteed 2 at bare minimum. 1 is only giving you 5,000 XP. 60 resin for that. You have 240 resin. So realistically, 6, 12, 18, 24. I get 4 a day. I get 4 a day if I'm unlucky. That's rough. That's rough. 4 a day, you only get 10 levels. So realistically, it's going to take you 2.5 days to level up an echo fully, and nothing happens. The other problem in the leveling echoes themselves, you cannot use other echoes that have not been leveled before. I have 1,000,000 gold echoes sitting in my account that I would love to use to fodder. I don't know why they don't allow you to do that. You have to level the echo in order for you to fodder it, which I think is very stupid. Now, they do have a system similar to Genshin system where you can, auto select and bam, they'll give you something out here. But the problem is this good? You see what I'm saying? This is trash. This is dog shit. Why is this fusion echo that can't drop Glacio dropping with Glacio bonus? It doesn't make sense. And now I can't even fodder it into another echo unless I level it. This is the problem. Oh, but Ethan, you could throw it in here. You could throw it into your auto selection echoes. Why can't I have, is this good? That's actually good. I'll take that. Why can't I have my foddering system, like here, what do they call it in Genshin? Strongbox. Why can't I have my strongbox system, but also be able to just fodder low-cost echoes like that have no experience? I don't understand. Oh, well, you'll run through the game too fast, bro. You're spinning in circles because if you use that artifact, combination system, and you still wind up getting trash. Eventually, 5-to-1 conversion rate, you're gonna run out if you can keep transferring them and you're not getting anything. And now they're just sitting on your account and they're dead. So what do? I don't know. This is a big problem. I really think they need to change it. Now, I know they've addressed that they're going to change the amount of shell credits you need to level echoes, which I think is very good. I know they're going to give us a Leeline event with Tacet fields, so that way they are half the cost. But I don't think that should be a Leeline event. I think they should just half the cost in general. Don't make it 40. Make that shit 30, bro. Make it 30. I mean, if you want to make it 40, whatever. But I really think it should be 30. And even if you didn't want to increase the rewards, just at least half the cost. Now the other problem is Tacet fields. As I said before, it is so hard to get these materials. It's because they run off of resin. If I wanted to do, I've been running this Tacet field religiously right here. The Havoc and Fusion Tacet field, because obviously one day we'll get Encore. Eventually when I have my 30 pulls. And I want a main dungeon and Havoc Rover, so that's really why I'm locking in on this set. Let's do a Tacet field real quick, just so you could see how bad this looks, right? A decent 3-cost echo. A decent 1-cost echo, I'll lock that. 1 tube. 10 tuners, 7 tubes, 7 purple tubes, and 10 purple tuners. Not worth it. It's not worth it. That is not rewarding enough for me to build my characters. I'm not trying to build 3 teams of 3 in 1 week or 2 weeks or even a month. I don't want to speed run the game. I'm actually really taking my time. On my account. I've been playing a lot of other viewers' accounts, but that's just not rewarding enough. It's not. And so the other problem is, good thing that just reminded me, is tuners. Now, they did address what tuners are is this. When you upgrade an echo, when I got this echo to level 15, I didn't automatically unlock these substats. You then have to tune the echo. For example, let's see if I have an echo that needs to be tuned. I don't. I'm not wasting echo XP. When you get to this point, on the bottom, it's going to be over here. It says unlock 15 to get to tuning. So you level this echo up to 15. Once you level up to 15, you have to use a yellow tuner, and it unlocks a substat. Now, it's not the biggest deal in the world because of the fact that they are now implementing a system where you can convert your blue and purple tuners to yellow tuners. So like right now, like I'm sitting on a bunch. I'm sitting on 997 purple tuners. I'm sitting on 433 or 431 medium tuners. So I don't really mind the tuner system that much. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it would be a lot easier if they just give it to you, but also like it's whatever. Like I don't see myself running out of premium tuners. I could be wrong. Right? Like, but I think I'm okay. So the tuner system isn't a problem. It's interesting, but they are fixing this. This was a problem, but they're fixing this. So kudos to Koro, W. So that's the ecosystem in a nutshell. Very good potential, a lot of potential. Just I feel like they really got to hone in on that XP and that Tacet field stuff because those rewards are horrible. That's not enough. Now When building characters, the thing about this gacha game is since the weapon banner is so rewarding, and they even have a standard weapon selector banner that's just as rewarding, if not more rewarding, than the standard banner itself. Weapons are very, very important in this game. The reason being is this. When you start a character, I'm going to go to someone who has nothing on them. They start with a crit rate of 5 and a crit damage of 150. So they're already giving you a little bit of one-up, right? They're giving you 150 crit damage, which is pretty good. But you need crit rate. You need crit rate. The problem being is, let's say I'm looking at my Gion right now. My Gion has a split of 33 over 200. This is with a crit damage weapon. It would really be a lot easier if I had a crit rate weapon. Let's see if I go to my Calchero. He has a 47 or 178. The reason why his a lot better than, technically his split is better than Gion's because he has a crit rate weapon. Crit rate weapons allow you to not stress as much on your echoes as opposed to having to try to get crit rate on everything. So for example, like if I look at my Gion, I wanted a crit rate main piece here still because I want to try to get my crit rate as high as possible. But if you're running crit rate weapons, you don't have to struggle or focus as much on a crit rate main stat for a 4-piece or for a 4 cost, or you get a crit rate 4 cost, but then on the other little ones, you don't have to worry as much about getting crit rate as a stat and really hone in on crit damage. It alleviates the RNG factor if you're able to get crit rate weapons. But also just in general, like again, this has crit damage. That's a massive increase. If I look at my 4-star alternatives, this was bought from the Battle Pass. The Helios Cleaver is just giving attack. This is giving defense. That's giving defense. This is giving energy regen. Not that these are bad broadswords, although they're really not the best. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of the 5-star weapons in this game are just substantially better than the 4 stars. Not only because of crit rate, but just because of passives and things like that. So it's a little rough. It's a little rough building the characters. My personal opinion is I think what you can do to counteract this is really, instead of rolling on the standard... Look, again, I haven't gotten Encore yet, right? Instead of rolling on the standard banners, I've been putting my wishes into this. Because with this, you can get the Emerald of Genesis, which is a crit rate sword. Or you can get the Static Mist, which I already got, which is a crit rate gun. That way Mort doesn't have to worry, and then like Sanhua and people won't have to worry as much. And then the Battle Pass is going to make up with a crit rate Broadblade with Autumn Trace, crit rate Rectifiers, and a crit rate, Catalyst, pretty much. This Catalyst isn't the best for a lot of people, but, these weapons are not bad, and they're good options because they help alleviate that stress. That is one thing you got to keep in mind, man. If you are someone like you're running Encore, and like, well, I really don't want Yinlin. What should I use my Asterite on if I don't want to save for the next characters either? Encore's best in slot is Yinlin's weapon. And what does Yinlin's weapon give besides just a bunch of great passives and really good, just really good? Gives crit rate. So the weapons are going to be very important. Now, the positive thing about that is in 80 pulls, you're guaranteed it. You're not going to lose a 50-50. You're not going to lose a 75-25. You're getting that weapon within at least at most 80 pulls. So I can see this being positive. I can see this being negative. It really is all dependent on your RNG and how your account is looking. Since I have a crit rate weapon that's giving 26 and it's going to go up even more, I put a crit damage Thundering Memphis on her instead. And now this isn't really that great. Double HP is pretty mid. The attack is okay. Resonance Liberation damage is very good. But I knew, okay, I don't need crit rate as much. I'm not going to stress. Like, I got a little bit of crit rate there. That Echo shouldn't be on her. But yeah, I got crit rate here, which is dope. So it varies. It varies. So that's one thing that I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's too soon to say. I'm a whale. I'm going to buy the Battle Pass every patch, and I'm going to get all those crit rate weapons. So for me, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I could see this being a problem if you're free to play. If you're clearly you're not buying the Battle Pass because you're free to play, and you just have really bad artifact luck. You have really bad echo luck. It's like, okay, well, building characters is going to be rough. It's doable. It's 100% doable. At the end of the game, it's a gacha game, so it's all of the shit's based off of RNG, right? But these weapons help you a ton. And they're just so much better than the 5-star, the 4-star alternatives. even like, let's say the rover, you know, if I put on Commando of Conviction on him, this is good. This is not a bad sword, but that other sword is just leagues ahead of Commando. Not that Commando's bad, because Commando's actually probably low-key the best 4-star sword. That's not this one. That's not a 5-star of the Emerald of Genesis. And not even just because it gets crit rate, this is just better. This is just a better stat sticks, better stat boost. So just keep that in mind. Weapons are important in this game. They are important. And a lot of people are probably going to be pulling for weapons over characters, and that's valid. I understand that. So that's good. It is what it is. Again, that can go either way. It's part of playing a gacha game. You know what I'm saying? Events. Initially, some of the events expired right now, but initially the events were pretty lackluster. You know, at first we have the Depths of the Elusive Realm, which is very good. This is going to stay here permanently. This is going to give you Asterite, and it's going to give you a bunch of other currencies. It's going to give you echoes, etc., etc., tuners, tubes, you know, so on and so forth. That's fine. This is considered one of their end game activities. The Second Coming event, I actually haven't even started it yet, so I don't really know much about this one. I'm not going to lie to you. 480 Asterite for this isn't bad. It's a 7-day event, so each day you get a certain amount of Asteroid. The alloy smelt, it's not the best. It's not the best. You really don't get the most Asterite out of this. You do get echoes, which is nice. And then we did have the parkour event. Parkour! The parkour event was all right. The event wasn't anything too crazy. This event in itself also isn't anything too crazy. It's really just kind of giving you like certain modifiers and enhancing elements. It's like, all right, can you complete this in this time? It's nothing special. It's nothing special at all. So I do think eventually, as time goes on, not only do they need to give better rewards for the events, which they said they would, but I do think I would like to see a little bit more unique events. You know, I think the parkour was a cool concept, and obviously, like, the first stage was going to be easy, but it wasn't rewarding, and they were kind of just very straightforward and easy. You know, I thought it was going to be some, what was that one Xbox game? Knockout, Whackout, whatever it was called. Like, I thought it was going to be something crazy. It really wasn't, right? But the events, they're not bad, but we could be doing better in this department for sure. And then speaking of Asterite, there are ways to get Asterite, obviously. It is very free-to-play friendly. You have the whole map to explore, which I haven't done yet. I haven't even been playing on my account. I've been fixing viewers' accounts, as I said. But there's Asterite, Tower Diversity, which is not going to be your first source of Asterite. This is going to be a very long time, months away before people start completing this, especially casuals. So I wouldn't even look at Tower Diversity as much as more of an Asterite distribution. But, you know, Depths of the Elusive Realm is a good spot that you can go to. You know, they give you trial characters up to, I think, level 65 or 70. So you can get Asterite from here. You know, there will be more Asterite with events coming out and whatnot. They also just give out a bunch of fucking rewards. So you get a decent amount of Asterite. It's not bad being free to play in this game. This patch had over 120 plus pulls. The next patch is roughly, I had a dream about it. I think I had a dream. In my dream, I think the next patch is going to have roughly about like 110 pulls for free-to-play players. Maybe 109 if you're not completing Tower Diversity. But yeah, now, they do need to fix optimization. Optimization is a big problem for mobile players. PC, it has calmed down a lot, although there are just some things that bug me and get me annoyed. And I don't know if they'll fix them, truthfully. So we have these hologram fights, right? When you fight, I haven't even picked up this. I hate this hologram with the passion. This morning Ajax, homie. In hologram fights, the cameras get buggy. It just goes everywhere. Sometimes you get locked off. Sometimes you glitch and you can't move. It gets annoying. Sometimes you lock onto something out of the stadium that you're fighting in, and the camera is just all over the place. And the ping, you know, sometimes you'll fight a boss and you know you parry them and the parry won't register and it'll kill you, or you'll parry and you'll still die. Like, it takes away part of the health, the boss like boom, but you're still dying, and there's no attack, there's no like physical animation showing like, oh, maybe there's like a leftover. There's nothing there. You just die. The game does have a bit of spaghetti code sometimes, and it can be frustrating. Especially, it is very, very much highlighted in these hologram fights. Especially this one. The Memphis Tempest is fucking annoying. I hate this dude. But that's stuff I hope they could fix. I don't think they're going to focus too much on the holograms. My personal opinion, I think the holograms are specifically supposed to be kind of wonky, kind of weird, because it's a different experience every time you go in. Maybe not attack pattern wise, like they'll change up the order, obviously, but I think they want these to be super weird, super hardcore, and you have to sweat, and you can't get it in your first try. So that I don't think will change. But yeah, optimization on mobile needs to be stepped up. They probably have lost a lot. I know they've lost a lot of mobile players. I've had people come into my chat say I'm not playing the game until they fix mobile stuff. And I don't think it's not only just because people have bad phones. You know, people have very good iPhones, 14s, 15s, Androids. The game is still having problems. People I know try to play it on their phones that are very good, and it's just not working, or it gets super hot. You know what I'm saying? And I know they have optimization issues because if you try to download PGR when it came to PC, the download still doesn't work. I still get comments on my YouTube short of how to fix PGR's download, and people are still saying, bro, it doesn't work. So for Wuthering Waves, the optimization is leagues ahead of PGR for PC client. For a gacha game that came out, though, not the smoothest launch. Again, it's a lot better now, but definitely still some issues. Also, ping still affects your gameplay a bit. You know, ping definitely affects, as I said, the parrying, the dodging. Sometimes I know I dodged, I know I parried, it doesn't work. Or sometimes I'll be in a hologram fight, and I'll be midair, and for whatever reason, one moment I could swap out, the next moment I can't. So it's a little frustrating, you know, and I can understand people not playing, you know, not wanting to play the game because of it, you know? Like, that's an easy parry, right? But, you know, sometimes it doesn't register as an easy parry, and you're just sitting there like, what is happening? And you can't parry with him, obviously, so. Like, that's it. I dodged 3 seconds ago, but that input delay was crazy. I don't know. So, yeah, man, the exploration is good. The exploration is very good. There's a lot to do on the map. It's not small in any sense of the imagination. There is a lot of puzzles. There's a lot of mobs. Obviously, echo grinding is endless, and it's going to take you forever to clear out your whole data bank. So there's a lot to do in the open world. So open world is valid. I have no complaints here. I think it looks good. I think everything is very nice. The puzzles some are pretty simple and some are pretty annoying. Like it varies. It varies. It's up in the air. But overall, man, I think the game is great. I don't think we missed anything. You know, other than I really like the other thing. My biggest complaints are optimization, is lowering resin costs for certain things, and giving better rewards at higher union ranks. Also, and the shop. I think the shop should reset every month as opposed to every patch. But that is a hill I am not going to die on. But yeah, that is my TED Talk, man. That's how I'm feeling about the game. I think overall, the game is phenomenal. You know, if you had to ask me for a rating, I think like 8.5, 9. And I think it could easily get to a 10. I really do think this is going to be a Final Fantasy 14 situation where the game is just going to get consistently better as time goes on, especially if they could fix these, because these are all fixable things. It's not like the core gameplay is bad, the core mechanics are bad, the core systems are bad. The only one that's really rough is echoes, and there are ways around it, you know. So, and we'll see how the Databank 21 works, you know. But that is my TED Talk. So should you play Wuthering Waves? The answer is yes. And I think going into 1.1, I'm very optimistic. I think 1.1 is going to do better than 1.0. I think it's going to be better. We're going to have more content, more bosses, more echoes to farm. Very interesting new characters. I had dreams about them, and in my dreams, they looked amazing. And yeah, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited. So I think the game has a very bright future. I'll definitely be covering it. More guides, all that good shit, all that good stuff. And with that being said, I love you. I'll see you in the next one.